Hello, in this video I will talk to you about how do we deliver work at Market 8 in a way that it maximizes the impact of what we're doing in your company. So the key question that we want to answer here is how can we maximize results? How do you know on a month-to-month basis how whether you have got your money's worth or not, and how should we prioritize the ideas? So we based basically everything on these 5 principles that I'm going to go through in this presentation. Number one is focus. I think that if we are able to focus both of our teams together on a limited number of high impact activities, we'll be better off. Also the principle of days versus weeks. Instead of taking a long time to complete something, complete it in a matter of days and get quick feedback. Value points. We've designed a series of basically a point system that establishes a point value for every piece of work completed, every task, and there's full transparency on this. I'll walk you through how you can know exactly what you're getting for during your retainer. Mutual accountability. This is a two-way street, and we need to hold each other accountable for KPIs. There has to be a series of KPIs we chose to affect together, and it's important that we keep each other accountable on that. And the principle of 2-month cycles. So basically define the priorities for the business and for the project every 8 weeks. That composes a full cycle, and that way you can keep our teams focused on the priorities. So as a preamble, you know that we're working on a framework called the website hierarchy of needs. So whenever we are tagging something on your website, we are going by the priority set of this hierarchy of needs. So basically what this establishes is that in order for your website to function well and to serve your business purpose, there are 3 layers of hierarchies of needs that need to be covered. All right, so the first layer is what we call the functional side. This is all the foundational work of what your website needs to be doing right. There are 3 subcomponents here: performance, that's all the SEO, page performance, value and usability. Make sure that the website reflects what your business does and communicates so in a very clear way, and communicates in a way that it can be grasped and understood by your target audience. And the last one here is audience, which is the most basic one. It's like if your website has traffic, then you're ready to move on. If it doesn't have traffic, then you have to have some initiatives to drive traffic into the website. The next big layer is a persuasive side. Here we start talking about making sure that your website is attending the very particular needs of your target audience, that is really resonating with them, and therefore driving more conversions. And for there's 3 sub layers in this persuasive side. One of them is personalization. Means that if your website is already adapting content to different segments of your market, depending on who's looking at it, or different roles or industries, if you have content, and smart content, especially within if you're using something like the HubSpot platform, then you can start showing different things to different people. Stickiness has to do with having your website be a resource for your buyers and having them come back. And then CRO, or conversion rate optimization, is a series of initiatives to drive and push higher conversion rates through testing and hypothesis formulation. And then the last layer is at the advocate side. Okay, so in the advocate side, we're going to have basically increase the virality of your website, and this is through creating assets that can be easily shared and that are highly valuable for your buyers, and then promoters, basically digitally enable referral programs that can help get the word out. So as we're working through this, we also are implementing all of these changes on an Agile format. That means that we're going to always be prioritizing the highest impact activities. And the way we do that is basically there's usually a backlog of hundreds of items. Each one of those items or tasks are ranked in terms of priority. Some are going to be high impact, for example, experimenting with the value proposition. Some are going to be lower impact, like, for example, font size or font type, or things that are more cosmetic. Well, what we're going to do every cycle is prioritize where the biggest opportunity, where the biggest bang for the buck is for your business. And then we're going to extract those into a cycle and a series of sprints to go and execute. We follow the PDCA cycle, plan, do, check, act. This cycle lasts 8 weeks, and then basically after we implement the all of this, we form a baseline of performance, and then we go and continue the cycle, selecting the next batch, either new ideas or from the list, what are the highest priority items that will cause the most dramatic impact on your performance. It can be lead generation, or it can be whatever the metric we're focusing on. It can be traffic, it can be whatever we decide to focus on first. And the point is that we're focused especially only on those tasks, as opposed to getting scattered across a large number of things. We define the objectives, define the tasks, and when we go execute them in 8-week cycles. So okay, this is the way that the metrics are improved. So back to the principles of how we make sure that you get the most value out of this. Well, focus. The more focus on the limited number of activities we have, the better. So how do we get better work done for you faster? Well, basically it's follow the principle of sequencing of our activities when we're working together. So let's say we want to complete A, B, and C tasks, and if we do so in a way that we're touching this, for example, in this example, the 3 tasks, every single period, well, it's going to take us a long time to complete them. Perhaps we finish one, and B and C is still pending because we touched a little bit of them every period. So what we propose is to work, focus in delivering one first, and then move to the next one. Finish B, move to the next one, and finish C. Usually, the time to value gets reduced by, quite significantly in this example, by a third. Of what I call the spread too thin approach. So how can you get more value? Well, by completing and fully launching deliverables, even if they need to be perfected after launch. It's important to just get them out and then execute quickly any improvement during a period we call the harvesting period. We do quick modifications and quick improvements, and then moving on. So things won't be perfect anyway until we start getting real users' feedback. That's when we really test them, because sometimes there can be a lot of opinions, but until we get it out the door in front of the users, then it is until then that we get the real feedback. So days versus weeks is another principle. That means completing, getting the whole team to focus on a series of bite-sized chunks of work. And this way, by getting everybody together on the same team, the gung-ho team, to go and accomplish task A in this case, we can accomplish something really quick. So this involves you. And I know we're going to be taking a load of the work here, and you don't need to be full-time during this period of a short period of time to complete the task, but be around for reviews and feedback. Something I want to tell you is that is related to this principle is that activity doesn't equal progress. So when we're working together on a retainer basis, you may see a lot of activity suddenly during the first week, and then not much during the first the following 2 weeks, and then do a lot of work again the following week, and then spend some time planning and breaking and closing and reflecting the cycle. reflecting what happened on the cycle. What I want to tell you is that even if there's no activity every single day of every single week, there is still a faster time to value by doing this. And this is the principle of days versus weeks. Instead of spreading yourself too thin every day for a few minutes, just concentrate your work for full blocks, full day blocks, and you accomplish more. So what does this imply? Well, that we'll select together with you some focus days. And with these focus days, you'll have specific days in the calendar marked down where we're going to be working together on a particular task. Again, you don't need to be full-time there, but you may need to be available for rapid feedback. And the aim is to complete and launch deliverable during these focus days. I mean, if you say, for example, we're going to launch a new page for an industry, for automotive industry, for example, well, let's go ahead and complete it and get it out the door during those focus days. Then I want to tell you a little bit about the principle of focus of value points. That means that every work that we have, that we do, it has a point value. And the point is reflective of the effort and the value to your business. So for example, a conversion kit, which is kind of the bread and butter of what we do. It includes building a landing page for an asset, an ebook that has been created. So once the ebook has been created, the conversion kit includes landing page, thank you page, confirmation email, and call to action design. So this we call a conversion kit is worth 8 points. Then we start comparing everything, whether it's more difficult or easier than building a conversion kit from scratch. For example, landing page testing. Well, we have to look at data, we have to formulate hypotheses, think about why it may or may not be working, design a test, implement it, track the results, and then document the conclusions. So it's a little bit more involved than doing something from first time, and we value that at 13 points. On the other hand, fixing a single page technical SEO, making sure you have meta descriptions and all that, that's only 1 point. It's a very easy task. PPC, campaign optimization, for example, is another typical activity. Yeah, it's a little more involved because there's a lot of research, keywords, analysis, improve the text of each ad, links, real estate, keyword, like I said, and even making some recommendations for the conversion of that landing page to which the traffic is being sent. That's a little bit more involved, so that's at 13 points. And during the presentation, you'll have a link here to the full catalog of activities that we have right now, and you'll see the value of each one of the tasks that we're likely to complete during the work we do together. It's worth to say that some activities cannot be forecasted. Some are going to be very custom, ad hoc, and we'll just evaluate those on a case-by-case basis. So what's a point? I want to tell you that basically, like I mentioned, we have an 8-point standard, and then everything is measured, whether it's a little more difficult or a little easier than that standard. So in this case, we have this conversion kit at 8 points. 13 points means that it's a little more difficult. 21 points, significantly more difficult. And there's some tasks that are valued at more than 21 points. These are likely not tabulated, and it must be broken down. Likely, if the task is easier, it's going to be worth less points. Just a measure of relative effort, if you would, between tasks. So how many points you have access to? Well, depending on the retainer level that you're with us, you can have the small retainer entry level at 3,000. We go by 2-month cycles, so that's 40 points, all the way to the large retainer of 12,000, depending on where you are. You'll have number of points assigned. Also, the PPC, it's worth it has a point value there. Success is a two-way street. Definitely, to complete all the deliverables set forth in a particular cycle, it requires both of us. It requires Market 8, it requires your company, to accomplish all that. And progress depends in both of our teams work together. And we like to say that the points are earned, not spent. And so both together are going to set a goal to earn your set number of points with the highest impact activities that you can possibly complete. And that means that half-baked tasks earned 0 points. That means if, for example, I have to launch a new website page, and we did copy, design, and development, but we just missed that one last approval to launch the page and make it public, then the number of points earned is 0. Both you and us. I mean, you didn't get the value, we didn't actually deliver it. So it's important that we keep an eye on that. Mutual accountability for KPIs is very, very important. Like I said in previous conversations, perhaps, is that there's several programs that need to be working like a well-oiled machine in your marketing department, and each one of these are going to have a series of KPIs. So the areas where Market8 works really well, we're going to be tied to these areas with our green, web and conversion. Obviously, that's our core focus. Nurturing. And then these areas that are in yellow, we can help in some areas. PPC and LinkedIn and Facebook, we can do all these things. Audience and messaging, we can help with some of that, like it's in our realm of capabilities. And then the traffic optimization as well for SEO and optimized PR, etc. So the point here is that we should be held responsible mutually for things that we're responsible for. So, for example, if you and your marketing team are responsible for certain metrics, we want to be responsible for certain metrics as well. And the last thing is 2-month cycles. Well, we have to establish a rhythm for the project. So we have 2-month periods. Okay, and between these 2-month periods, we're going to complete a series of tasks. You have a tactical planning horizon during this 2-month period, which is a huge advantage. It provides also an opportunity to reflect on progress, and it gives us a routine to prioritize on new objectives. And it's a frame of time in which we can focus on affecting a particular theme or a KPI, and also gives us the opportunity to balance workload. That means that, for example, if for whatever reason in January we don't have the opportunity to work together that much, we can catch up with all the points for the cycle during February, and then make a cutoff, make a retrospective, what worked, what didn't, reflect, and then set objectives for cycle 2, in this case March, April. And we can balance work between those 2 months. We found this leads to better success than doing it month to month. So this 2-month period is a time window to achieve goals. So what this means, for example, is cycle 1, we may have all the work concentrated in just a couple of weeks, or maybe 1 week even. Same thing in March and April, the same, the next period. So in this example here, you can see cycle 1 concentrates work in just 1 week at the beginning, and then 1 week in week 5, and the full workload of the cycle is concentrated in these few weeks. You get the full value, you get results faster this way. At the end of the cycle, we're going to have a retrospective, a cycle, end of cycle review, when a series of things need to happen during that meeting. The end of cycle review will have, you will have a view of what has happened. What are the global progress towards goals? What were the previous cycle objectives? What are the action items? What did we learn? And then highlight key areas of opportunities. Then we're going to strategize on what's next. We're going to go over all the things that we have to do, and then prioritize and identify the high impact items as a group. Then we're going to finalize the prioritization, and we're going to kick off the new cycle. All this may happen in 1 meeting or 2 meetings. It depends on how well defined the goals are. And then lastly, we're going to set up all the prep work to go into the new cycle. This is mostly market work, but basically we'll prepare everything that will be done. We prepare what we call action item cards, where we'll record the objectives, and then we have a space there to report conclusions and report them at the end of the cycle for you. And well, that's it. What I wanted to present to you today. We can discuss in more detail during our next meeting, but I hope that this clarifies a little bit about how we deliver value to you. Thank you.